Welcome to the Ashraf Garda Show.
There's some significant changes taking place, in particular around an award called the Credential Awards. So goodness, I'm going to find out what exactly that means. Johanna McDowell is with me. She's the founder, CEO of the Independent Agency Search and Selection. And we haven't chatted in a while on different platforms, but for the first time here, talking marketing wars here on the Ashraf Garda Show. Great chatting to you, Johanna. Absolutely.
Yes, nice to see you too,
okay,
Ashraf.
let's talk about,
I
understand what we'll talk about the Assegai Awards, but specifically, there's a category, I understand, called the Credential Awards. So tell me more about that.
So what we decided to do was about 4 years ago. I've always wanted to launch this or have this award in South Africa. There's only one other country in the world that does it, and it's one of my colleagues in Germany, funnily enough. And he called it the Creda, but it's now, so we called it ours the IAS Credentials Award. And the reason I wanted to have it is so that agencies will focus on really getting to grips with their own credentials. It won't surprise you to hear that agencies are not particularly brilliant at their own marketing. So one of our roles is as the IAS is to help them improve their marketing abilities for the presentation. And one of the ways we thought it would help them is to highlight this in an awards program. But it's not for the sake of the awards. The reason we chose to partner with the Assegais is because the Assegai Awards have marketers who are evaluating. And so what the added benefit for agencies will be evaluated only by marketers, not by agency peers.
Okay, so Assegai comes after the fact. In this case here, obviously many people watching us and listening to us on my podcast will understand, people in the marketing space will understand what this credentials mean. But I also think there are many others who are learning about the trade and they don't quite know when you say credentials, what exactly are you talking about?
Okay, so what we need to see in an agency's credentials is it's really the story of the agency. So what we want to know are things like, well, okay, so advertising agencies always have interesting names. Where did the name come from? How did they arrive at that? What does that name say about them? What's their point of view? So not but how do they think about what they do? What's their process in terms of what do they believe about the value of great advertising or the value of great digital or media or whatever? Then who are the people who are in this agency? Where do they come from? What's their background? What's their history? How is this agency owned? Who owns it? Is it owned internationally? Is it woman owned? What is it? And then also of their previous clients, so we understand their experiences, and then we like to see examples of work, examples of case studies of work advertising that has worked. So that's broad presentation needs to consist of. It doesn't need to be too lengthy, but it does need to be fairly comprehensive. And then on top of that, we also like to understand, well, what's the agency's culture? So culture is a very important thing, particularly when we're in the business of putting agencies and clients together. So we're in the relationship and we're in the marriage business. So we want to see what's the agency's culture. Will that agency's culture fit with a potential client? And clients, marketers will look at those culture reels. And a culture reel is 3 or 4 minutes long. It's essentially a video of that agency authentically talking about itself and its work and the people and its point of view.
So for many people, when they talk of credentials, goodness, they would think about things like the BE scorecard. I mean, this is not what we're talking about now.
The BE scorecard is very important, and it's part of the credentials. So, and that's why the ownership structure, the shareholders, Who's involved in it? Very important. So the BE scorecard is extremely important.
And broadly speaking, in the marketing space, right, are credentials in terms of showcasing a company, I mean, is that particularly important in terms of like standard operating procedures when agencies decide to do, or brands decide to do business with agency?
Yes, and what's really interesting, Ashraf, and we've noticed this more and more in the last 12 months in particular, marketers really want to understand how this particular agency works. So do they have a proper methodology? Can that methodology stand up? Because think about it, most corporates will have a very detailed system. They want to see that the agencies that they're partnering with also have a good system. So it's surprisingly important. And it's part of the whole due diligence, if you like, of a client, of marketer, checking out whether an agency is going to be good enough for them, is going to fit, has the right experience.
And in practical terms, does this happen before an agency pitches to do work on behalf of a client, or after? Meaning, what comes first in the sifting process?
In our process, it's always the credentials first. And we might typically end up with a long list of maybe 10 agencies. We collect their credentials. We try and we go through those credentials with the marketer, and then from there we eliminate those who are maybe who don't fit quite as well. So that by the time they actually go into a pitch situation, there's only 3 at the most specific brief. It's far less, it's far more time efficient for the agency. And
so I just want to recap. I mean, here's the point. I think credentials in the marketing space always has mattered and will continue to matter as the first point of call in terms of deciding to do business, right? But your latest drive and then linking it to the Assegai Awards, why does that matter? What changes in doing just that?
Simply because they are the only awards program in South Africa where there is a significant number of marketers evaluating advertising in general. Most of the other award programs are evaluated by agency people, and credentials, agency credentials need to be evaluated by marketers because that's real life.
Explain that. That's real life.
When a marketer is looking for an agency, they will be looking for certain things, and they will be the ones to evaluate the agency's credentials. You don't want your competitors. In other words, I wouldn't want, if I was running an agency, my competitors to see my credentials and to evaluate them. I mean, what would they know?
So in practical terms then, I mean, in this case, to what degree then are agencies forthcoming in wanting to, I would think in this case, share publicly their credentials?
Oh, if they know that it's owned by marketers, they're very willing to share. And also we have a reputation as a business of being very confidential. So they know that we won't be leaking these to other of their competitors. And of course, the Assegai organisers are also confidential material the whole time. So there's no danger of it going to the wrong place. And as I say, when we launched it in the first year, then things went quiet because there were things that changed within the Assegais as well. But now they've come back big and strong. In 2019, they had their best year ever in terms of, and this year they're hoping for the same. So we're very happy that they want to partner with us again. And I mean,
Assegai is very much direct marketing. Do you have any thoughts, before we end up about the changing face of marketing and the way we do business? First of all, because it's 2020, but also because we're in the midst of COVID-19 globally.
No, exactly, and it's interesting you asked that question because the what is happening, and one of the things we talked about on our Ad Forum Summit virtually a few weeks ago at the end of June, beginning of July, because we obviously couldn't travel to New York and all the rest of it. So we were in sessions with 8 agency groups over a period globally, over a period of a week and a half. And one of the big thing that's changed is the acceleration of the use of data. So all of those clients and marketers who want to reach their consumers, they're all busy accessing data as fast as they can, systemizing it, etc. So, I mean, if that's not direct marketing.
And then lastly, to go back to your own organization, Independent Agency Search and Selection, what is it that you, I suppose we've already touched on it after the event, but from a broad speak point of view, what is it that you do? What service do you provide?
Okay, so we help marketers choose and work with their advertising agencies of all types. So typically a large corporate will come to us and with a business problem. They won't necessarily say, I need an agency that can do this. They'll say to us, this is the marketing problem that I need to solve. I need an agency that can help me do this. And that's what we will find for them. So we go through a whole search process, and we take the marketer and the marketer's team through the process in find the best choice, eliminate the ones that don't fit. So that's the main thing that we do. And then the other thing that we do is manage relationships, manage contracting. We do all sorts of services with agencies. Yeah,
okay. And I would think, why would a marketer need to use you to match make for them? I would think if they're in that space, it shouldn't take them too long to find out who are the advertising agencies that really matter that they can possibly work with.
They do know, but they can't possibly keep up with all the changes that are going on in the industry. You know, there are many agencies in this country, and in fact, as a result of technology and COVID, we're expanding our reach into Africa. So we've now signed up several agencies in Africa, and we're starting to do pitch work. We've always done pitch work in Africa. So all of that knowledge about, there's no way a marketer who has a lot of other things to do in their organization has the time or be able to look at all the agencies that could be potentially for them. So they might be very limited in their choice. So that's one of the reasons they come to us. The other reason they come to us is because it's all very free and fair. So we're like the audit team, and we run the whole process, and it's all very meticulous. There's no danger of any corruption of any sort. There's no danger of any favoritism. That's the role that we play.
And I suppose you're in business because you personally then solve a business problem, and you've done just that. Yeah?
Yep.
Well, let's leave it at that. Johanna McDowell, thank you for your time. Fascinating talking to you, and best wishes for this latest IAS Credential Awards. Looking forward to seeing what comes out of that.
Super. Thank you, Ashraf. Thanks very much.